Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to News Hour. We are live here on GBC News, your news and governance channel. Wherever you are, you can also join us via Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. I am Rahmatu Mahmoud Jawando. The National Identification Authority still has over 1 million Ghana cards to be issued to its owners. The NIA says it is devising system and strategy to get the cards closer to the people in the next couple of days to enable them use them.
The National Identification Card registration started about 5 years ago, with the mass registration ending in January this year. However, with the legislation passed to link the Ghana card with the telcos and other state institutions, the registration was further extended and is expected to end on the 30th of June this year. In an interview with the head of corporate affairs at the National Identification Authority, NIA, Dr. Abudu Abdul Ganiyu, registration of the Ghana card can be done at the regional and district offices of the National Identification Authority, NIA, even after the 30th June deadline. Contrary to reports that one needs to pay for the Ghana card, Dr. Abdul Ganiyu said registration for first-timers is still free. However, there are exceptions where a fee is charged in case one misplaces his or her card or changes name.
There are instances where fees and charges apply, but for anyone else going to the regional and the district office to register for a Ghana card for the first time, you don't pay anything. It remains the same even in this particular phase where we have established the permanent regional and district offices. As you go to any of them, registration there is for free. But it is very possible that somebody has lost the card and the person has gone to the regional office for a replacement. It is the replacement of the card that will come at a fee of 30 Ghana cedis. So when you have lost your card, you have gone to the police, picked up an extract. In other words, having informed the police that your card is missing, the police issue you with an extract. That one, you take it to the NIA regional office, then a new card will be printed for you at a cost of 30 Ghana cedis. And then there are also individuals who may want to update their record. So married, maiden name was something else, now changed to another name because you want to adapt that of your husband's name. The law requires that you do an affidavit, you do a gazette, and then you take it to the NIA. NIA can print a new card for you having done the update, because name would appear on the face of the card. So anything that would appear on the face of a card, once a change has been made, it will require that we print a new card, which will come at a cost of 30 Ghana cedis to you. Then we have also set up premium registration centers. We have a number of premium registration centers. At the headquarters, we have a premium registration center. Then the car headquarters, premium registration is also taking place. So individuals going to these premium centers, they pay an amount of 250 Ghana cedis.
Dr. Abdul Ganiyu said the deadline is to pave way for the state institutions that will need to link the Ghana card with details of their customers in transacting businesses to do so by the 1st of July this year.
The number of cards that are yet to be issued is around 1 million. We have to work hard so that people who have not yet registered for the Ghana card get the opportunity to do so. And also cards that we have printed which are yet to be issued, we find ways of getting these cards issued to those individuals. Even if all of that is not issued by the 1st of July, but much of it should have gotten out of our inventory so that just very few people will not have gotten cards that have been registered back then. But going forward, all of those cards eventually will be issued to people, so that NIA as a state institution has come to stay. You would find NIA in every region and in every district of the country, so that anytime anyone at all wants to register for the Ghana card, you are able to do so.
The NIA says it will put in place measures to roll out the acquisition of the Ghana card in phases for babies and those below the age of 15 years.
The registration phase we are now is for persons who are 15 years and above. We call that the adult population. They are issued with a smart identity card, right? But persons who are below 15 years, we are yet to roll out a phase that will register those individuals. And for children who are born today, we will eventually start registering them as well. Even if we don't issue those kids at age 0 with an identity card, but they'll be given what we call the personal identification number. And that number follows them forever. When they are around 6 years, the biometrics would have been completely formed. And at that point, we can take all their biometrics and issue them with an identity card. So these are, phases that are going to be rolled out from time to time. We are still in the adult age registration, which is 15 years and above. But very soon, all these other phases are going to be brought in.
Daily registration of the national card, according to the NIA, is still ongoing at the regional and district offices of the National Identification Authority, NIA.
Parliament has passed the Criminal and Other Offences Amendment Bill to provide for plea bargaining in the administration of criminal justice. When assented to, the law will ensure the speedy trial of cases and help decongest the prisons. It will also ensure, among other things, the reduction in caseload of the courts and prosecutors, saving the state time and money by avoiding long and protracted trials, decongestion of the prisons due to reduced sentencing, and aiding in the reform of convicted people. To help us understand this issue further, we will speak to Mr. Benjamin Antiedu, a legal practitioner. Hello, good afternoon, sir, and thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to Ghanaians who are watching them.
Mr. Antiedu, what is legal plea bargaining?
Yes, plea bargaining is a process within our criminal justice system. In the criminal justice system, we're talking about, commission of offense, arrest, arraignment before court, trial, and possible conviction and sentencing. So what has been the point is that if you have been charged for any criminal offense, you are entitled to go through full trial. Everybody is entitled to full trial, and this is enshrined under Article 19 of our Constitution. But here, we are giving opportunity to a person who has been charged for criminal offense to reach some agreement with the prosecution, here led by the Attorney General or maybe acting through the police, so that some concessions can be given. It can take a form of reduction of the charges that may be preferred against that person. Or let's say, even when it comes to sentencing, there can be some mitigation, concessions that will be in favor of the accused person. And then here he's trading off his right to go through full trial. So as you have clearly laid out, the benefits are numerous. The state stands to benefit, and then the victim and then the accused persons equally will also benefit. As you highlighted, the state has a duty to offer justice to people, whether you are charged for criminal offense or in other sense. So this one will help in speedy trial, because remember that a lot of accused persons may have the opportunity not to go through the full trial. That may take, criminal trials take a long time. So some can take 6 years, 5 years, or let's say even if 3 years to complete. It can take, let's say, 6 months, which gives a lot of room or saving of time for the court to deal with more germane matters, such as, murder, treason, and other civil matters. And then, as we are trying also to give mitigation measures in terms of sentencing, then we are going to decongest our prisons. And then opportunity will also be created for people who are wronged or people against whom criminal offenses are committed. the opportunity to receive compensation. You know, it's not all the time that justice is served by sentencing, custodial sentencing.
Yeah.
Sometimes the victim may be in need of some financial assistance to remedy the injury caused to him or her. So, you know, to deepen our strive to provide justice where it's due. And so, in basic terms, plea bargaining is just the agreement that is reached between accused person and the prosecution, you know, just to fast-track trial and also deliver quality justice. And delivery of quality justice is key for investment attraction and also for projecting the human rights, track record of a country. So it's good for us and highly commendable.
Ms. Antiedu, what you just said, it tells that it is necessary for justice delivery. Then why are you now advocating for its passage? Why has it taken you that long?
Yes, and that's a very good question. You know, our law, the Criminal and Other Offences Act, 1960 Act 30, the counterpart is the Criminal Offences Act, 1960 Act 29. They've been in existence for over 60 years, 6 decades. And of course, a lot of tremendous changes have taken place in criminal justice delivery across the globe. And so this is one of the areas that, have been given attention, and there's so many other areas that will even come up. Remember that we are even considering introducing other forms of punishment, including community service and the rest of them. You see, so yes, the Attorney General from his memo to Parliament indicated that there have been some limited cases of plea bargaining in our system already. But of course, they were very limited. So that's why its popularity was not even known. But they say it's better late than never. So, and this to push for more reforms so that we can move forward as a country.
So then, which cases or offences would be permissible in this bill?
Yes, good question. Not all cases are amenable to plea bargaining, and as has been set out in the law or the bill waiting to be assented to, so it's still a bill. So, like I mentioned, treason and high treason are forbidden constitutionally. So for that, you can't do much about it. And then serious offenses like rape, defilement, and others, because of their special and public policy, they are excluded. But we have so many other crimes that happen on a daily basis, particularly financial crimes, petty stealing and sort of things, which can easily be addressed. But my interest is in respect of how we reward, or not reward, but how we compensate victims. Because we have seen several cases where victims have suffered, sometimes injury. You will have maybe a hot liquid poured on a victim, and then you go through prosecution, the person is in jail. What happens to the person who has been jailed? The state too lacks capacity to deal with such matters or help such persons. So if there's an opportunity to get money to take care, meet the health needs of the victim, I think it's possible. So to that extent, I'm so happy about this development.
Thank you so much, Mr. Benjamin Antiedu. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Participants at a forum on community service sentencing have called on Parliament to expedite passage of the bill into law to decongest the country's prisons. They propose that non-custodial sentences should be considered in the offences that attract sentences less than 3 years.
Forum on Community Service Sentencing was sponsored by the USAID Justice Sector Support Activity. Participants included officials from the National Peace Council, security agencies, civil society organizations, traditional rulers, and the Legal Aid Board. Discussions centered on the various offenses under Ghana's criminal justice system. The participants were of the view that the country's prisons have exceeded their limits. They asserted that persons who commit minor offences are kept in custody with those who commit serious offences. Hence, they become hardened criminals upon their release. The program manager of the Africa Office of Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative, Mrs. said the country's judicial system has been empowered with custodial sentences, and keeping inmates in already congested prisons is a drain on the country's budget. An official of the Criminal Records Department of the Ghana Prison Service, Superintendent Francis Apo, indicated that overcrowding at the prisons pose a health risk to prisoners and therefore called on partners to ensure that the prisons are decongested.
The way forward to have a safer community is to reduce the congestion in the prisons so that we can really touch lives and change people.
The Africa Office Director of Commonwealth Human Rights Initiative, Madame Mina Mensah, advocated the speedy passage of the Community Service Sentencing Bill.
I think that it is time that we educate the populace, the citizenry, that when this law comes into effect, we will and help so that when somebody is sentenced to community time, we will not see it as being lenient on the person, but we will see it as part of our developmental process and something that will help our communities grow.
The Minister for Information, Mr. Kwadwo Nkrumah, is advocating stiffer punishment for perpetrators of crimes against journalists in their line of duty. He called on the judiciary in particular to proffer severe judgment to culprits of attacks on journalists irrespective of their social status and political affiliations to serve as a deterrent to others. Mr. Nkrumah made the call in Ho at a training program to strengthen the role of the judiciary in protecting freedom of expression and safety of journalists in the country.
The training program was organized by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, as part of its training of trainers from Judicial Training Institute in Africa on freedom of expression and safety of journalists. The program is tailored to deepen the capacity of prosecutors and judges in dealing with matters of freedom of expression and safety of journalists. Participants included 25 judges from the High and Appeals Court. The country representative for UNESCO, Mr. Abdurrahmani Diallo, said issues of freedom of expression and safety of journalists are key components of democracy, which ought to be safeguarded by duty bearers, arbitration authorities, and the security services. He said freedom of expression and safety of journalists are indices that determine how compliant or negligent a country is with regards to its constitutional provisions on fundamental freedoms and rights.
Freedom of expression, access to information, and safety of journalists are fundamental freedoms and indices determining how compliant or negligent a country is relative to its constitutional provision on these fundamental freedoms.
An appeals court judge, Mr. Justice Dennis Ajay, who represented the Chief Justice, stressed the need for effective collaboration among partners in the country's media landscape to ensure that infringements on the safety of journalists are eliminated.
Function is to build the capacity of judges, because when you talk about freedom of expression and safety of journalists, wherever it happens, it will end up in the courtroom. And in the courtroom, we are going to decide. And whatever we decide becomes the law. Even though we have the substantive law, it is the judge who will brief into the law by offering interpretation that will, at the end of the day, become a stare decisis and be binding or having persuasive effect on the courts as
The Minister for Information, Mr. Kojo Ponkoma, said though the National Media Commission rolled out mechanisms to resolve some of the early reports of infringement on journalists, inadequate funding to enable it to effectively execute the mechanisms has not been forthcoming. He was hopeful that the training program will stimulate keener response from prosecutors and the judiciary when dealing with cases of infringements against journalists.
It will be the strongest message to the next batch of state and non-state actors who may even contemplate attacking a media practitioner in the line of his work that it is not acceptable, and more importantly, the courts will severely punish you if you dare.
The country representative for UNESCO, Mr. Abdurrahmani Diallo, and his team earlier handed over equipment to management of the University of Health and Allied Sciences towards their smart classroom project. $200,000 include touch panels, high-speed scanners, and display and LCD writing boards. The Vice Chancellor of the university, Mr. John Owusu Japon, thanked UNESCO for the gesture.
Ghana's ambassador to Burkina Faso, Mr. Boniface Gombila, has expressed concern about unscrupulous persons who lure some unsuspecting youth in the Upper East region to travel to Burkina Faso under the pretense of assisting them to travel abroad for job opportunities. He was speaking in an interview with GBC News at Paga.
We encountered these days in Burkina Faso is that some scammers lure the youth in Ghana to Burkina Faso to dupe them, to defraud them. It's called QNet. That is a business. And what these scammers, the ringleaders do, is to deceive someone. You pay as much as 5,000 Ghana cedis, 15,000 Ghana cedis, and that you come to Burkina Faso. And they are able to send you to South Africa, to Dubai, to UK, to Germany to work. A lot of Ghanaians, we have repatriated them. Even last week, we repatriated twice the youth back to Bolgatanga for them to get back to their homes. So it's a deceit to the youth. So the youth of this country, Ghana, I want them to know, to hear from me, that QNet business is a scam.
The heads of the security agencies in the Ashanti region have been commended for being up to the task of ensuring that the region remains peaceful. The Ashanti Minister Simon Osei Mensah, who gave the commendation, noted that their commitment to duty has helped to reduce particularly highway robberies. He was addressing the Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council in Kumasi, first time since the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic in 2019.
The Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council is the highest decision-making body at the regional level, representing the political and administrative machinery of government. It has the mandate to monitor, coordinate and evaluate the performance of the regional departments, 43 metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies, as well as other public institutions and agencies in the region, with the view to ensuring effective and efficient service delivery. Addressing a meeting of the council in Kumasi since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2019, the Ashanti Regional Minister, Mr. Simon Osei Mensah, made reference to some riots in the region in the past few years, which led to clashes between a cross-section of the public and some security personnel, a situation he described as unfortunate. He indicated that in the wake of the security alert issued by the Ministry of National Security on the possibility of terrorist activities in the country, all and sundry should be on high alert and very vigilant and conscious of personal security. Touching on decentralization, Mr. Osei Mensah noted that most assemblies have not lived up to expectation in respect to revenue generation. He decried the failure of most assemblies to effectively exploit resources in their areas for the benefit of their people.
What I wish to touch on this morning and appeal to assemblies to critically handle is encroachment of school lands, especially schools which are close to artisans, garages, and in prime areas of cities and towns are facing encroachment from private individuals. Apart from the noise which emanates from the encroachers affecting teaching and learning, students and people are distracted.
The Kumasi Supervising High Court Judge, Justice Kofi Accreditation, who swore the RCC members into office, encouraged the MMDCEs to collaborate with the district magistrates to ensure peace and security in their respective regions.
It was an epoch-making event when the National Chief Imam Sheikh Usman Nuhu Shaributu, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia and Reverend Father Andrew Campbell launched Father Campbell's SVD at the Christ the King Parish in Accra. Father Campbell's SVD Foundation is a charitable organization that focuses on leprosy advocacy, children welfare and child health care. Dr. Baumia urged all to consider help for the vulnerable as a calling by God.
National Chief Imam Sheikh Osman Nuhu Shaributu's second visit to a church. The first was during the 2019 Easter festivities. This time, the Chief Imam joined the Vice President, Dr. Muhammadu Baumia, for the launch of Father Campbell's SVD Foundation. Reverend Father Andrew Campbell says the first leg of the foundation is to give a decent life to street children. It will focus on giving these street children 3 healthy meals a day, offer them employable skills as well as shelter. The second leg of the foundation is on advocacy for lepers. The foundation will solicit for fines to provide food, pay utility bills, maintain residence of the lepers at the Wager Leprosarium, whose ages range between 3 years and 103 years old. The last leg of the SVD Foundation is to work to improve on child health and support underprivileged mothers to take care of the children.
The street children, I've started in a small way in Wage, and we've got one young boy at the Don Bosco Center in Tema, and he's learning a trade there. Again, a lot of expenses. I've also been given by the government 4 plots of land in Adenta for humanitarian purposes. I want to build a hostel there for the street children. I want to build some workshops for them. That will also require assistance.
The spokesperson for the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Arimeyao Shaibu, said the visit to the parish shows the cordial relationship between Christians and Muslims and belief the Chief Imam has in the work of Reverend Father Andrew Campbell.
Father Campbell is not afraid of persecution, and he is a friend of the dejected and the rejected of society. This brings meaning to religion. What is the use of religion if it is not accompanied by such a pure spirit of humanitarian concern? The Chief Imam shares these values with Father Campbell, and in that regard, the eminent Chief Imam wants to be quick in responding to this by giving his 5,000 Ghana cedis.
Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, who is the patron of the SVD Foundation, said Father Campbell is pursuing a noble cause and all must support him.
They are not doing it for personal benefit, they are doing it for humanity. And when we help the poor, we help all of us, we help ourselves.
Reverend Father Andrew Campbell provides for more than 1,000 lepers. He played a key role in the redevelopment of the Wager Leprosarium, renovation work at the Ankafor Leprosy General Hospital, the Laboratory for Leprosy and Skin Conditions at Wa, and the Leprosy Clinic at Kokofu.
CK University of Technology and Applied Sciences has received provisional accreditation to introduce 24 new programs. This was announced when the school held its first congregation for its cohort of graduates on completion of their programs of study at Navrongo. The Upper East Regional Minister, Mr. Stephen Yakubu, was the guest of honor.
51 students received degrees of various disciplines. 8 students graduated with a Master of Philosophy in Science Education, 18 with a Master of Philosophy in Mathematics. mathematics education, 17 with a Master of Education in Mathematics, and 6 with a Master of Education in Science. The Vice-Chancellor of the university, Professor Eric Wilmot, said with the introduction of new programs, the school will need government support, especially in terms of infrastructure for improved academic work. He charged students to be excellent ambassadors of the university and to use the knowledge and expertise acquired to help develop society positively.
The university does not have adequate lecture rooms and hostel accommodation. But I believe that if government also brings in support and we get the hostel facilities, then the large number of students who will come. Imagine the 24 programs we have been granted accreditation for. If we are able to admit 20 each in the program, we will be adding 480 students to our programs. Will need to be housed.
The Vice President's message to the school was read by the Upper East Regional Minister, Mr. Stephen Yakubu. He commended the council, management and the entire staff for their hard work towards the growth and development of the university. He assured of government support with the needed investment in technology to develop in the right direction.
Successive governments in our country over the years, knowing the importance of science, technology, engineering and mathematics, STEM, contribution to the development of this country, have in diverse ways contributed to these fields, and the Akufo-Addo regime is not an exception. The government will, as a matter of urgency, support this university so it can achieve its mandate as established by law.
In her valedictory speech, Ms. Doris Abrakwa was happy with the successful academic journey despite the challenges that students had to surmount.
Like every academic journey, we face a lot of challenges and miss a lot of excitement. Despite these challenges, we had some exciting moments as well. To the glory of the Almighty, we sailed through. Today, excitement counts it all.
The university was granted full autonomy in 2020 to run courses in integrated technology and applied sciences in the Upper East region.
Food prices around the world, including Ghana, have soared to record levels this year as the Russia-Ukraine war slashes key exports. At the same time, droughts, floods and heat fueled by climate change have claimed more harvests. Panelists on GBC News Current Affairs program Talking Points are of the view that urgent action is needed now to help the most vulnerable populations cope with the drastic hikes in food prices. As a bailout strategy, the UK has pledged to invest over £370 million in global food security, including giving £130 million to the World Food Programme.
Global food chain has been disrupted. I say this because, we are not an island. Though we produce, we also depend on some particular countries to also supply us what we do not produce. And that really has put us in a very high challenge because we have not been able to produce enough to mitigate some of these unforeseen circumstances. Though we have some of the staple foods which are locally, we call our local staple foods to around in the communities. Transportation has become a challenge because the farmers will produce, and then when you go down to the village you have a lot of abundance, but when you come to the urban areas you don't have because of the cost of transportation. And then you go to the marketplace, you realize that the market has not been able to deliver so much quantity that the population needs. And that is due to high cost of fuel.
The value chain players, the rice farmers, the millers, the input dealers, and then we started having a conversation. Then we have, during that conversation, the issue of finance came in, the issue of technology came in, all other issues, logistics, transportation, everything came in. Then I said, okay, in that case, that means we need to have a holistic approach rather than doing it the ad hoc and piecemeal. won't help. Ghana, if agriculture is going to work, Bank of Ghana must get involved. If they don't get involved, our agriculture is not going to work.
Residents, commercial drivers and traders of Dunkwa Onofen in the Upper Denshra East Municipality of the Central Region say a bridge at Dunkwa Station, which links several communities in the municipality, has become a death trap. According to them, the deteriorated nature of the bridge is affecting business activities in the area.
Commuters from the Dunkwa stretch heading towards Chichirwe, Praso, Cape Coast and Joabinso travel on this bridge. Residents say they live in fear due to the deteriorated nature of the bridge, which causes accidents. Some students say they sometimes miss classes, especially when it rains and around the bridge gets flooded. They are therefore appealing to the authorities to come in order to forestall a disaster. Insuono pushi efisa side way but na amana no mu bia na ebie unam ni se dia hu but uchu kon hema na obehu se sa amana no emu ewa pa insuono sugu so a etwefem nti amunya mai se da be ya ense kwan no kra cars ntimi ntwem
ina kwan wan we se car ba ko ba te se ye gina other side ama ba ko ba na se nipa nam ho kra te se ye gina ama nipa no ebetwem ansa na ye twumi akọ ehọ no so na ebubu ba Egusua ebubu kaka nkra nye sizi na start yo start ya che na kan kese so efa so nti every day bia no kakagbu.
Hydroxyurea, an essential drug for the management of sickle cell diseases, is officially a free prescription drug in the country. This is because hydroxyurea has now been included onto the National Health Insurance Scheme's essential medicine list. The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, announced this at the memorial for the late renowned pediatric hematologist and global advocate for sickle cell management, Professor Emeritus Kweku Ohene Frimpong, who passed on May 7th this year at age 76. A report by Sarah Fori.
Glowing tributes from colleagues, partners, patients and caregivers, both home and abroad, in honor of Professor Kweku Ohene Frimpong. His relentless efforts to enroll children with sickle cell disease for a comprehensive management could be overemphasized.
Kof was persistent in his quest to get every baby born in Ghana to be screened for sickle cell disease. When it came to newborn screening, word I used to describe Kof: relentless.
His wife, Janet Ohene Frimpong, says her husband's vision for Ghana was a country with the best education and health care.
He wanted Ghana's people to be able to invest in themselves so that when folks needed the best education, the best health care, and the best opportunities, they'd be able to get it right here in their own country and not have to travel elsewhere. That's why, as soon as he could, he started bringing resources home.
Sorry for that. We will bring you the full story in our subsequent bulletin. You're watching News Hour here on GBC News, your news and governance channel. Business will be back shortly. You're welcome. Low export revenue mobilization, unemployment, and foreign exchange reserve challenges have been cited as some factors impeding the growth of the private sector. The Minister for Trade and Industry, Mr. Alan Chimanten, said this can be addressed when government channels resources to the private sector. He said this at the launch of the National Business Resource Centers, BRCs, in Accra. The BRCs are a one-stop shop to provide business support services to SMEs in the district across the country.
There are three main challenges that confront us as a nation. One is unemployment. The second is low revenue mobilization. And the third is the lack of sustained flow of foreign resources. The private sector that provides the solution to the creation of jobs. The public sector employment cannot be the solution to this very important critical challenge of ours. We are unable to mobilize enough revenue. Our tax base is too limited. And this is because we have a large informal sector. Over 90% of our enterprises belong to the informal sector. And if we want to be able to expand our tax base, we can only do so by formalizing the micro, small, and medium enterprise sector. And the key to this is for government working with the private sector to provide institutional support and business development services to these micro enterprises. And with formalization, they will start paying more taxes. And that will help deal substantively with our problem of low revenue mobilization. Thirdly is the lack of sustained export revenue.
It is almost 2 months now since the electronic transaction levy, e-levy, was implemented, but latest report shows less than 60 million cedis has been mobilized. Thus, according to revenue authorities, the e-levy is not living up to expectation, and government needs quickly to find ways to shore up its revenue mobilization in order to meet its statutory and debt obligations, as well win the confidence of investors. Initial projection made by government about the e-levy was that it will garner about 2 to 3 billion cedis annually. On the line we have an economist, Eric Chebafo, to tell us more. Hello, good afternoon, sir, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good afternoon, madam.
Sir, what is accounting for this huge difference?
Well, thank you very much for this great opportunity. I believe when this policy was introduced, I was one in your studio discussing with Bishop, and I told him that due to demand and supply and panic when the policy was about to be implemented by the policy, and then the parliament, when they were making a brouhaha about it. Yes, I told them that it's not achievable. But that is business and demand and supply. Because it's not unsustainable. It's not anything.
So as it is now, what can government to do to bridge the gaps and also not to default on its obligations?
All right, yes. There are so many things that the government needs to do. You know, now Ghana, we are a developing country, and then we are in virtual economy. So coming out with a tax on this, especially on the poverty level, is not going to yield anything, because there is almost unfortunately, which are the banks, and the banks are doing the same transactions, and the rates are very cheap. So what the government needs to do now is to go in for the property rate. Now, a research that we get conducted only at the airport residential area. For the year, the government is going to get a minimum of $1 billion. Now, we have a furnished apartment that is Airbnb, 2-bedroom apartment, and they are taking $4,000 a month. So, on average, if the government is able to place a tax on the base of property, on the research that we conducted, the government is going to get $1 billion, which is far higher and bigger than the assumptions and the proposals that some economists are saying that Ghana should go to the IMF for policy credibility or for credit. And we all know the implications when we go to IMF. So for some of us, going to IMF, I would say that our academicians are failed us, our politicians are failed us. There are so many ways tens of thousands of ways the government can raise revenues, funds, and so forth and so forth.
Thank you so much, Eric Cheba, for your time. The COVID-19 pandemic has further demonstrated the need for digital infrastructure investment, with 75% of the population expected to have access to the internet by 2025. Tier 4 data center, the largest operational data center in Ghana and West Africa, promises to add more impetus into Ghana's digital transformation drive and improve data quality. Dr. Sam Ankra, the brain behind the data center, says the facility opens up the country to the international market, which is critical to the growth of the Ghanaian economy.
Construction of the data center is the vision of Dr. Sam Ankra, one of Ghana's leading businessmen from conception to operation. The data center meets the Global Data Authority's Uptime Institute of Tier 4 standards, providing physical space, power, cooling, connectivity and security to customers. Known as Onyx Accra No. 1, it is partly powered by solar energy, which helps reduce its carbon footprints in the immediate locality. Dr. Ankra is delighted to see the data center in Ghana operational and happy to have secured this for the benefit of Ghana.
As the Vice President rightly said, this is the first certified Tier 4 data center outside South Africa in the Sub-Saharan region. We've preached about digitization. We've talked so much about, and there's been a lot of programs that have been rolled on the digital platform. But this is a key part of it, the key component that is going to drive this digital ecosystem.
According to Dr. Sam Ankra, a modern economy relies on access to the digital economy.
This is our facility. I'm encouraging a lot of investment into the digital ecosystem because it's the way forward, and that would help us to drive our economy.
The acquisition comes at a time when Africa's digital economy is growing exponentially. For instance, between 2010 and 2019, more than 300 million Africans gained access to the internet, confirming a shift toward digital processes and lifestyles.
Let's now have the interbank rates and commodity prices for the day.